So when we hear the term display greatness, we instantly probably think of TCL because they're the ones that's pushing that motto. Their TVs are fantastic. Some of us, I have 3 TCL TVs and then I have one that's not a TCL TV. But overall, the screen on this device is reminiscent of the quality that you get. It's just in your hand. That's ultimately what it is. This is where I wanted to start because TCL phones probably get the least amount of credit when it comes to display greatness. That's why that's their motto, display greatness. It's actually fantastic. If you look at a device like this in person, you're gonna be in awe. It's a 6.7-inch Full HD curved AMOLED display, and then they have this thing called NXT Vision, which is basically their way of enhancing their quality on their screens. That's what it is. So I wanted to start here because this is what they know they're doing best on their devices, the display. And aside from watching content, the display is beautiful for doing other things. It's just a good experience overall. Having a large display in a real narrow body like this is something that I genuinely like. I think it's very impressive, and I think you'll be hard-pressed to say that this is a bad display. And again, it is just one that if you never use it in person, you'll never understand. So let's switch back to the back of this phone because hardware is something that they do great. They don't just give you a good display, they give you good hardware if this is important to you around the device. Now the back of this device is definitely screams a phone that costs more than $500. This phone costs $499. And when you compare it to other devices that are considered premium, this one is winning in the hardware category. This design alone is just beautiful. Not just the design, it has a headphone jack. That's important to a lot of people, myself in particular, because you can plug in a good set of quality headphones or earbuds, and you are going to get some quality sound. I believe this has 24-bit audio, which is fantastic still. No quad DAC or anything, but the genre of music that you listen to and how, and depending on what brand or what style of headphones you're actually using, you're going to get some quality sound from this device. I kid you not, it's going to be fantastic. So they've done a good job on the hardware. It is lacking in an area that I thought would be really great, which is stereo speakers, but it does have an extremely loud bottom firing speaker. And it's strange because they gave dual speakers to the lesser cost versions. The 20S and the 20SE both have dual speakers, and I find that very strange, but nonetheless, this is packing, and it's got a really nice loud speaker. You know, it would have been better with dual speakers, simply put. I just think they would have done better by giving this one dual speakers as well. It would have really kept the trio going. It just would have been right. But for some reason they didn't, and that's kind of sad, but they didn't. So again, along with that, you've got the dual tone LED flash. You've got lots of modes on this camera here. You've got super night portrait, video HDR, super steady mode, and the cinematic creations you can do with this thing. Basically make movies with it is what they're claiming. But me, I'm just a basic point shoot guy who does video in his backyard or wherever I'm doing it at the time. Now, while I'm on the back of this phone, the 48 megapixel camera when shooting 4K, it has to be like flawless lighting. Now, this was my gripe with TCL with the previous generation, their 4K recording. Now, I know that a lot of people, regular consumers, probably don't use 4K because 1080p on this thing is fantastic, but there's no 4K 60, and the 4K 30 that is produced, it's almost oversaturated to a point where I just don't like it. And this was the same gripe that I had with the previous generation. I didn't really like the 4K the way it came out unless it was like perfect lighting. So I could shoot a video right here in this office. I have 2 big bright LEDs up top and it might look pretty decent. But sometimes I have to edit in post with this camera when I'm using it. And that's something that regular folks just won't do. They're not into it. So as a techie, I have to tweak this. I have to work afterwards to get this footage looking pretty decent. And that's something that I don't like to do. So I decided to just shoot in 1080p, and I think 1080p is absolutely fantastic. No quarrels, no ifs, ands, or buts, none whatsoever. Just 4K is lacking. So that's 2 things that I'm not too impressed with: the 4K recording, and there's no 4K 60, and there's no stereo speakers on here. So the front camera, however, it's fairly decent, man. It's got a 32 megapixel on the front, so it is really nice. And I just feel like it's gonna please most people, especially when you're doing vlogs and things like that. This camera is going to be more than enough. And again, my complaints shouldn't be yours. I think some people do want 4K 60 at this point in the game, but this phone costs $499. And so, you know, for whatever reason they chose to leave it out. It could be the processor, I don't know, because the processor inside is a Snapdragon 750G, it's a fast processor. I mean, this phone flies. So processing power with this processor with 6 gigs of RAM holds its own. So again, I don't know why they chose not to do 4K 60. I don't really care too much, but you do have 256 gigs of storage on board, and you can add up to a terabyte SD card, micro SD card. I don't think anybody is doing that because the terabyte SD card costs like $200 right now, I believe. And I don't know a person who would need that. Unless I'm going to use it inside of my camera that I'm recording with, I wouldn't put that in a phone. But the fact that it can handle it is impressive. So this phone does have fast charging, and then it has wireless charging as well. And I'll grab the wireless charger. Now, I like that TCL sent over this little special unique swag of a wireless charger because it actually latches onto the back of the device. And I think that is so cool, man. And the device starts to wireless charge. And the reason this is cool is because I could actually carry this around like this. It's suction cup onto the back of the device. It doesn't leave marks. It doesn't leave any kind of marks when you take it off. Facial recognition is really fast on this device, but nonetheless, it does have wireless charging, and it does have fast wireless charging. Now that's at 15 watts, and I believe the fast charging is plugging in is 18, but it is a 4,500 milliamp hour battery inside this thing. So speaking of battery, wow, the battery on here is impressive. And I took some screenshots along the way. And mind you, when I put out my first impressions and unboxing on this device, I had already been using it for at least 4 days prior to that. So that's why you're seeing a video much sooner than normal that I would do on a phone, because I've got a little bit of time in now. That is great battery life. That's fantastic battery life. But I'm running a live wallpaper, so I could imagine if I were to tone it down a little bit, you know, take off the live wallpaper. You know, I don't run any widgets or anything, so you know, I could just imagine how great this could be. It could be fantastic on battery for an individual who's not on their phone a lot. That could be a really good thing. It could. I think it will be. Now, if you notice, it has an in-screen fingerprint reader, and it has facial recognition. The facial recognition is just great. The software itself, this is to me pretty much stock software, but they do have themes where you can customize it to your liking right here. So you got a round style is where it's at right now, square, and then you got this free. And the free basically lets the icons go for whatever icons they are. So let's change the theme here. I've never changed the theme on here, but this is the theme. So it's got all the different, whatever app icon looks like is I think that's the way it's going to be. Yeah, so these have these weird shapes and stuff like that, so that's free. I do like that wallpaper though. That wallpaper is really nice. So there's an optimize button there for the software. Speaking of software, where you can just hit that button and it'll optimize it and it'll free up memory. Now I leave that there for my own personal reasons. I like it, so I don't have to go in and do much. Now you do have things still here, so don't think that it's clearing that out, but that clears out 0, and then it says it's cleared out there. So ultimately, it's clearing out the memory, but it's leaving those apps open in the background. So when you click on those, it'll start the app up again. So software-wise, you're ultimately just looking at a stock Android with a little bit of overlay from them, and I think you'll be more than happy and pleased with what you're getting here from this device. So I've been using this for more than a week at the recording of this video, and it's impressive, folks. It's hard to ignore a device like this. This is some serious swag right here. It's hard to ignore a beautiful device like this. Again, the couple of complaints that I have are very minimal. I mean, you don't need stereo speakers and you don't need 4K 60. But what you do need in these cameras for 4K recording, for those of us that want to record in 4K, what you do need is good image processing, and the quality has to be there, because In the realm of smartphones, you're competing in the $500 range with this device against a boatload of devices that has fantastic cameras, and it's only one or two cameras, i.e. Pixel devices. Pixels seem to be, even though people say that the Pixels don't have the best video, it has great video. And this device right here, with it coming in a time in the world where everything is so technical, for me, this is a kill-all, be-all device. It's got the perfect hardware, the perfect screen, the size is right, the battery is right, the screen is, it's just all there. The little things that I'm pointing out is because I have so many phones to compare it next to. You might not. So if you get this, you are going to be completely blown away at how flawless it could be for you. I'm telling you from experience, this is a great phone. However, the shortcomings that I see, because I have the previous generation, still looking for a little bit better in 4K. Stereo speakers, blah, blah, blah. Folks, this is a win. At $499, it is punching way above its weight class. Some people label this as a mid-range phone because of the processor. I label it as a flagship because I can put it next to so-called flagships and it can do better. I can put it in the same realm and conversation as these phones right here and all the other flagships that I have in my catalog, because I definitely have a lot. I can put it in the same conversation and also can pay less. It's half the price of this device. It's $70 less than this one, and it's this is $330 less than this one. But at the same token, it has a better screen than all of these ultimately. Well, I would say it competes hand in hand with the OnePlus 9 Pro. Can't say it has a better screen than the OnePlus 9 Pro, but I will say it's there. All right, so both phones are at full brightness. The TCL is on the top and the OnePlus is on the bottom. You can see the same video playing here, and you can see the quality that you could possibly get. Now look at the TCL versus the Quad HD 120 refresh rate on the OnePlus 9 Pro. This is why I said that this phone competes and punches way above its weight class. Tell me what you think about the quality. This is Quad HD versus 1080p. Both are AMOLED. Beautiful. So that is why I say this device punches way above its weight class when it comes to the price. I think it's more than fair to say that this is a top tier device. And if you say otherwise, I respect your opinion. But seeing as I'm using it firsthand, real time, right here, comparing it next to all these other devices, it's simply amazing. And that is what I would consider display greatness. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Stay tuned for more.